So a few weeks ago, you had a debate with a vegan. The video got taken down.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just follow up on that debate.
So Charlie Kirk has debated another vegan. If you don't know, a couple months ago, he debated a different vegan, lost, uploaded the debate, and then removed it. He even said in the debate we're about to review that he was not satisfied with his performance and he's going to be re-uploading the video with some commentary.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. So a couple things. I don't love the way that debate went, so we're actually going to repost it with some commentary, but yeah, duly noted.
Anyway, let's go through some of the claims made by Charlie in this video, because as per usual, when it comes to Charlie and veganism, he makes some pretty bizarre claims, even implying at some point that your blood type might determine the type of diet you should consume. And just a heads up that the video's visuals cut out at some point, so we'll be listening to audio.
If you're vegan, I just want you, I don't know how much you know about this or not, but like, if you're vegan, where do you get your CoQ10, your omega oils, your B12 from?
So CoQ10 is not essential, our bodies synthesize it. But you can get some from all of these plant foods if you want. As for B12, you can just take a B12 supplement a couple times a week, not that big of a deal. As for omega-3s, you can just have algae oil. Algae is where fish get their omega-3s, so instead of stabbing fish, you can just, go straight to the source. After the vegan addressed his points, at least about B12 and omega-3s, Charlie pivots into talking about how animals die in crop fields.
If that's what you want to do, then you have the power to do that. I have other very serious objections. I think there's a part of veganism that thinks as if you are saving animal lives, when in reality a lot of the agricultural practices displace birds and kill a lot of other animals as well. So it actually just hides the suffering. It doesn't actually eliminate the suffering.
So vegans are pretty tired of addressing over and over this whole thing about animals dying in crop fields. If Charlie has an issue with animals dying in crop fields, this is actually just an argument for veganism, because more plants are required to feed animals to get them to slaughter weight than are required to just grow plants to consume directly for human beings. Not to mention that veganism is a philosophy advocating for animal rights, like, the right to not be exploited and killed, to be viewed as commodities, kind of like how we view human rights. And should we think that it's totally fine to just directly violate human rights because for society to thrive, sometimes human beings die incidentally, like in traffic accidents or in construction accidents? Is it fine to just run people over if you drive a car because sometimes there's traffic accidents where human beings die? Of course not.
We also must be very clear, veganism is very expensive. The only way you can do veganism is if you have money, you have tons of attention, and you understand the vitamin deficiencies that do exist.
This is just false. Charlie is repeating his claim from his previous debate that he lost with the vegan that, being vegan is expensive. I already responded to that claim in my response to that other debate, so I'll just play my response now. And to answer that, a vegan diet can be cheaper or just as expensive as a non-vegan diet. It just depends how you formulate the diet. I personally save money as a vegan. And according to this modeling study coming out of the Lancet comparing the price of different diets, a vegan diet was cheaper. As for the claim that as a vegan you need to pay a lot of attention to what nutrients you're consuming, this pretty much applies to being a healthy omnivorous person as well. You have to pay attention to what you're consuming. You can be an omnivore with deficiencies. In fact, most people that have deficiencies are not vegan. This criticism applies to both diets. It's already known that certain diets can benefit from special attention to certain nutrients.
And everybody's wired differently, but I would say most people, just to guess, and there are studies to support this, they would struggle on a plant-based diet for many different reasons. Number one, plants literally do attack your system, that actually in a good way. Literally, as you digest fruits and veggies, they minorly attack your system.
So he says many studies support this, but cites none of them. Which studies in particular is he referring to?
It all depends on your gut, and for some people, they need some form of animal protein. It actually helps them with digestion. Sure. It's slower to digest. They get more protein out of it. So know your blood type.
And yes, Charlie Kirk, Mr. Facts and Logic, implies that he thinks that your blood type helps determine what kind of diet you should be consuming. Amazing.
Like, are you actually making the claim that you can't thrive on a plant-based diet easily?
It depends on.
I've been doing it 8 years, and I don't pay that much attention. It all depends on who you are and your. Again, I have serious problems. I could not be on plant-based. I know that perfectly. I'm better when I'm able to eat maybe salmon or chicken or steak. Like, I perform better. I think better. My body does not agree with just simply plants, right?
Do you think that Charlie Kirk has taken the time to formulate a nutritionally adequate plant-based diet, tried the diet, and then determined that the plant-based diet just isn't for him? Or is he just going off of his feelings here? I wonder.
We as Christians, believe human beings are superior to animals, and we are not moral equivalents.
Just to be clear, veganism does not necessarily entail that human beings and animals are morally equal. You can be a vegan and think that humans on average are of higher moral value than animals, but still, animals don't deserve to be systematically bred, exploited, and killed for a cheeseburger. Just like a father can value his kids over the family dog, but still think that it's wrong to stab the dog for a cheeseburger. It's pretty simple.
So there's 3 types of food. There's carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. And so it's very hard for very hard for vegans to be able to get enough protein.
Sure.
It's legit.
So I get 150 grams or even more some days of plant-based protein with barely any planning. You just need to replace protein-dense animal foods with protein-dense plant foods. Yes, this takes some time to learn, but once you learn this, it's pretty easy.
You can agree. So you have to get.
I don't think it's that hard, but I mean,
you have to eat a lot of tofu, which is basically, soy,
Look at how Charlie is repeating the same claim that he was corrected on in his previous debate with the vegan. The claim that you need to be consuming a lot of tofu to get enough protein on a vegan diet. Here's the vegan correcting him on that claim months ago.
I eat tofu, nutritional yeast, seitan. I easily get over 200 grams of protein per day.
It's a lot of tofu to get 200 grams of protein in.
So that's not I have like about a pound a day. That's not my main source. That gives me about 40 a day.
For the remainder of the debate, Charlie continues to make empirical health claims without actually citing any scientific resources, so we're going to skip to the part where they start talking about animal rights and ethics.
It's still taking the life away from that animal, and you wouldn't do that in the human context, so what's the symmetry baker,
No, I know.
If you wouldn't do it to
They
humans,
aren't human beings, that's the point, right? And
right, but what breaks that symmetry?
Well, the fact they're not human beings. Human beings are way more than consciousness. We have a soul. You don't agree with that. We do.
I think we have a soul. I would argue that animals have a soul. Like, you don't think your dog has a soul?
No. If you believe your dog has a soul, that's not a Christian belief. Just to be clear.
Can you clarify that? Like, what do you mean by that?
A soul is that which is made in the image of God.
Okay, so the reason that it's fine to kill animals for food but not humans in Charlie's view is because animals are not human, and he cites this difference because humans are made in the image of God and animals are not. Now, I don't think I need to go too in depth on the fact that souls are not measurable and religion is based on faith and not scientific evidence, but let's investigate the difference that he named. First, we can infer that Charlie actually has no issue with dog farms because dogs don't have souls, because animals don't have souls, only humans have souls. And according to his view, he'd have to accept it as morally fine to kill him and people close to him if we found out tomorrow that their DNA deviated slightly such that they were not human. This may sound like a silly hypothetical, but this is what he's committed to under his view. Think of someone like a Kryptonian, someone that looks like they're human but they're not. Under his view, it's totally fine to just mass breed, exploit, and kill trillions of these beings simply because they're not human, regardless of the fact that they are sentient, have a will to live, they don't want to die, they don't want to suffer. The traits I think we should actually be considering when deciding whether or not it's ethical to mass kill by the trillions a group of beings for cheeseburgers, not whether or not they're human. In fact, under his view, he would have to consider it more ethical to mass kill billions of humanoids who look human but aren't than killing a singular human being who is comatose and is a vegetable. That's obviously a crazy view and just shows that we should not be considering just if someone's human to determine if they deserve the right to not be turned into a hamburger, but instead if they're sentient, have a will to live, etc. Anyway, if you'd like to see the full debate, I'll have it linked in the pinned comment of this video and maybe in my Instagram stories.